Their presence has always been obscured, their banners never flown in triumphal procession, their names never carved into the honor rolls of crusades. Yet their existence is certain, whispered among inquisitorial conclaves and etched into the margins of ancient fleet orders. They march not as champions of glory, but as instruments of necessity, crimson-clad wardens standing ever in the shadow of the Emperor's most secret servants. The Red Hunters bear the livery of deep blood red, broken only by the stark emblem of a white skull, stamped with the sigil of the Inquisition upon its brow. This is no mere heraldic flourish, but a declaration of purpose. They are guardians of forbidden war, bound by oaths not only to their Primarch's genetic legacy, but to the ordos of the Inquisition. Among all the chapters of the Adeptus Astartes, few carry their allegiance with such visible declaration. Their red is not for honor, their red is for silence. The story of their origin is a contested one. Some among the Mechanicus archivists whisper that they are a later founding, perhaps the 21st or 22nd. Others suggest that their bloodlines run further back, seeded at the request of the High Lords of Terror themselves, under the urging of an inquisitorial representative. No decree in the great edicts of the Administratum confirms this. Yet the pattern of their deployments, their ceaseless presence at inquisitorial sides, and the willingness with which the Ordos entrusts them with secrets too terrible for most Astartes, all point toward a foundation shaped by hidden hands. Where other chapters build recruitment worlds and forge fortress monasteries in stone, the Red Hunters maintain little that is public. Records speak of their chapter. Keep upon the world of Monseigneur, a planet wreathed in veils of secrecy. There, the fortress monastery is less a beacon of faith than a fortress of redaction. What transpires within is known only to those few who have been summoned by inquisitorial writ. Aspirants are taken, trials endured, and from that world emerge warriors shaped to serve two masters, the chapter and the ordos. To be Red Hunter is to be bound not only by gene seed, but by oath to the shadow government of the Imperium. They are rare among their brethren in their faith. Where most Astartes cleave to the imperial truth's martial traditions, rejecting the deification of the Emperor, the Red Hunters kneel as true worshippers. They name the Emperor as God, not as Father, and offer to him litanies closer to ecclesiarchy ritual than to the battle hymns of the Astartes. This fervour makes them strange among their cousins, yet it makes them useful to the Inquisition, for they act with unflinching zeal against the enemies of man, even when the task laid upon them would break the spirit of others. One must imagine the sight: scarlet warriors, armoured in silence, stepping from the thunder of orbiting ships, their chapter sigil itself bearing the inquisitorial mark. To Imperial Guard regiments, to planetary governors, to allies and vassals alike, the sight must seem like judgment made manifest. For who else but the Emperor's most secret hounds could stride so openly with the seal of the Ordos? And yet, what price is paid by such a chapter? What bonds must be broken within their own ranks to maintain so absolute a service to two masters? If the Ultramarines are the shining exemplars of Codex purity, then the Red Hunters stand as its shadowed inversion, obedient, faceless, sacrificed to secrecy. They are the Emperor's crimson watchdogs, and their gaze is not their own. The bonds between the Red Hunters and the Inquisition run deeper than mere allegiance. They are chains older than any brother within the chapter, chains forged not by honor alone, but by covenant. The chapter's very identity is interwoven with that of the Ordos, such that to speak of one without the other is to half erase their truth. In corridors of inquisitorial strongholds, their name is uttered with familiarity, as one might speak of a trusted blade, a weapon always near at hand. When an Inquisitor Lord marches to war, it is the Red Hunters who so often stride at their side. These are not symbolic escorts, nor tokens of favour, but true guardians in the direst sense. Time and again, they have fought as the mailed fist of Ordo Malleus strike forces, answering the call to hunt demons and warp-born horrors. They have stood sentinel for Ordo Xenos conclaves, carrying out purges against alien infestations deemed too dangerous for mortal arms. They have even acted under the Ordo Hereticus, silencing worlds where faith had twisted to sedition. In every such case, their role is not simply to win, but to protect the Inquisition itself, to ensure its eyes may see, its words may carry, its decrees may fall like thunder. The weight of this trust cannot be overstated. Where most chapters receive directives only in moments of planetary crisis or galactic war, the Red Hunters dwell perpetually in the Inquisition's shadow. Their fleets appear not in the grand musters of crusades, but in sudden surgical deployments, bound to inquisitorial ciphers and concealed astropathic codes. To witness their arrival is to know the Emperor's hidden hand has moved. There are whispers of arrangements sealed by oaths far older than any living brother. Some say the chapter was founded as the personal ward of the inquisitorial representative upon the High Lord's Council, their blood tithed from unknown gene seed as part of a pact never inscribed in imperial record. Others believe the Inquisition holds their very lineages in thrall, ensuring obedience by guarding truths of their ancestry too dangerous to reveal. Whatever the case, the Red Hunter's obedience is absolute, and it has endured across centuries without falter. And what of the Inquisition itself? To bind a chapter of Astartes so holy is no minor feat. Most chapters resist interference even from the highest lords, their autonomy guaranteed by ancient decree. Yet the Red Hunters are bound by a bargain neither they nor their successors have ever broken. This alone has led some imperial savants to argue that they are less a chapter of the Adeptus Astartes and more an extension of the Inquisition, an inquisitorial chamber militant without equal, rivaled only by the Grey Knights and in scope by the Death Watch. Their difference lies in their secrecy. Where the Grey Knights claim their proud myth as demon hunters and the Death Watch operate as known Xenos killers, the Red Hunters wear no such single badge. They are shapeless, formless, wielded against whatever foe the Inquisition decrees. In this way, they become uniquely dangerous, for none can predict where they will be sent or what they will be tasked to erase. The bond has no end date, no limit of scope, no expiration upon oath. It is eternal, as much a part of the Red Hunter's identity as their crimson armor and their zealous faith. They are not allies of the Inquisition. They are its bondservants. Among all the peculiarities of the Red Hunters, none inspire more unease than the rite of mnemonic purgation. It is a practice so cruel, so alien to the warrior's soul, that many other chapters would recoil in horror were they to learn of it. Yet for the Red Hunters, it is not a rarity, but a routine, a burden embraced as part of their endless duty to the Inquisition. When a Red Hunter fights at the side of an Inquisitor, he beholds things no mortal eye is meant to witness. The sight of demons clawing through reality, the writhing warp matter of heretical summoning, the obscene geometries of Xenos artifacts, all such visions risk corruption. The guard may be slain for seeing them, their blood spilled as a merciful end. The Astartes cannot be discarded so lightly. Instead, their minds are scoured. The rite is brutal in its efficiency. Chaplains and librarians, working with inquisitorial savants, strip memories from the warrior's mind as one might strip rust from iron. Not merely battle memories, but fragments of self, experiences, instincts, the recollections of brothers long dead. When the rite is complete, the Red Hunter remains whole in body, his genetic gifts untouched, his martial reflexes intact. But the man who was, the accumulation of decades or even centuries, is gone. What remains is a living weapon, cleansed of taint, but also severed from his own past. To the Inquisition, this is perfection. A warrior reborn, his loyalty intact, his zeal preserved, but his memories silenced. Such a tool can be wielded again and again, each time fresh, each time unburdened by the horrors he has seen. To the chapter, it is both sacrament and sacrifice. Their librarians speak of it as a purging flame, burning away all that might invite corruption. Their chaplains teach that it is a blessed cleansing, sparing the warrior's soul for the Emperor's eternal service. Yet in the quiet moments, one must ask, what becomes of a brother who remembers nothing of his battles, his oaths, his victories? What remains of his identity when his very history is dust? There are fragments of record describing companies where half the warriors had endured such scouring. These battle brothers fought with flawless skill, but their manner was cold, detached. They neither sang the war hymns nor shared tales of past campaigns. They were strangers to themselves, knowing their duty but not their story. Such is the price demanded by the Inquisition, and such is the price the Red Hunters willingly pay. This practice sets them apart from all other chapters. Even the Grey Knights, who bear the Emperor's name in their secret crusade, are not so casually stripped of self. The Death Watch, too, retain their memories, carrying the knowledge of Xenos into the wider Imperium. But the Red Hunters are unique, their memories erased, their continuity severed, their humanity traded for silence. And what of the souls of these warriors? Does the Emperor preserve the fragments that were taken, sheltering them in his light? Or are they lost, extinguished forever, sacrificed on the altar of secrecy? The Inquisition calls it necessary. The Red Hunters call it sacred. Others might call it a slow annihilation of the self. Yet the practice endures, for in the end the Imperium cares little for the cost, only for the result. There are wars no Imperial archive remembers. Battles waged in silence, their scars buried beneath ash and redacted parchment. The Red Hunters walk in these forgotten campaigns, summoned not to blaze with glory, but to erase, to silence, to contain. Their record is not inscribed in the halls of terror. It lingers only in the haunted recollections of those who survived, and most who witness their work do not survive. The Siege of Vrax offers a rare sliver of light into this hidden existence. While the Grey Knights waged their righteous slaughter in the depths of the citadel, the Red Hunters were also sighted. They did not march in vast formations nor claim renown for the siege's grim victories. Instead, they appeared at the side of inquisitorial commanders, their crimson armour glimpsed briefly amidst the endless tide of guardsmen. Some claim they guarded the Inquisitor himself, ensuring his decrees could be carried through the chaos. Others whisper that they were tasked with cleansing Imperial forces who had seen too much, striking down their own allies once the demonic presence had been banished. The truth remains veiled, but their presence was certain. Hunters in red, serving the Ordos in ways no guardsman would dare name aloud. Other fragments surface in apocryphal sources. During the Macarian Crusade, when Lord Solar Macarius brought half the Segmentum Pacificus to heel, reports emerged of a crimson-armoured force that appeared suddenly during a campaign of cleansing against heretic cults. They fought with surgical precision, vanishing once the cult was silenced, leaving Imperial commanders puzzled at their fleeting appearance. Were these Red Hunters dispatched to safeguard against demonic corruption in Macarius's ranks? The Ordos has never answered. More recently, some claim that the Red Hunters have been seen amidst the storms of the Indomitus Crusade. Guilliman's fleets march openly, banners unfurled, proclaiming the Imperium's survival. Yet in the void behind them, crimson ships drift unheralded, bearing no declaration of allegiance save inquisitorial cipher. If true, then the Hunters stand as the secret hand even within the Emperor's returned son's grand endeavour. What pattern emerges? A chapter that fights not for laurels or banners, but for containment. They appear when demonic incursion threatens to spill beyond control, when alien relics risk awakening forces too perilous for mortals, when heresy festers in forms too insidious for the ecclesiarchy's fire alone. And when the deed is done, they vanish, leaving no memorials save the silence that follows. To the common soldier, they are phantoms. To inquisitors, they are a safeguard. To history, they are a void, a presence erased. Yet if they are always present where silence must fall, then one must ask, how many of the Imperium's greatest crises have borne their unseen hand? How many wars we know are but fragments of larger struggles, struggles in which the Red Hunters were the executioners behind the curtain? They do not leave answers, they leave absence, and absence is its own kind of power. The silence surrounding the Red Hunters is deliberate, cultivated, and unbroken across millennia. Yet silence itself tells a story, if one dares listen. What follows is speculation, stitched together from rumour, omission, and the shadows cast by absence. Some whisper that the Red Hunters have been the Inquisition's executioners in matters far darker than recorded battle. A regiment of the Astra Militarum sees too much in the crucible of a demonic incursion, then is erased in its entirety, the bodies stacked high, the survivors put to the sword not by demons, but by crimson-armoured astartes. A cardinal begins to question the morality of certain Ordo Hereticus decrees. Soon his cathedral lies in ruin, its stones blackened, and red hunters are seen in the smoke. A forge world uncovers a relic of the dark age of technology. Days later, its silence echoes across the void, its manufactoria hushed, its magi gone, and crimson ships depart into the warp. None of this is proven. All of it is believed. There are further claims that the Red Hunters act not only as guardians, but as enforcers of inquisitorial rivalries. The Inquisition is no unified body, but a hydra of clashing philosophies, and its wars are often fought in secret. If an Inquisitor Lord requires muscle to annihilate a rival's retinue, who better than a chapter already sworn to obedience? Astartes whose memories can be purged after the deed, leaving no trail. In this light, the mnemonic purgation ceases to be a safeguard against corruption and becomes a mechanism of plausible deniability, ensuring no warrior carries memories that might condemn his masters. Some even dare to suggest their presence at the edges of monumental events. Were Crimson warriors among the veiled agents at Cadia's fall, ensuring certain artifacts were spirited away before Abaddon's triumph? Did their blades strike unseen in the chaos of the Age of Apostasy, securing the Ecclesiarchy's compliance in the wake of Vandia's reign? Have they walked in the shadows of terror itself, not as defenders, but as silencers, ensuring that heresy never blooms within sight of the throne? These are questions without sanctioned answers. The Ordos will never speak, and the chapter will never confess. But speculation carries its own momentum. For if the Red Hunters serve as the Inquisition's perfect weapon, obedient, forgetful, nameless, then what atrocities might they have been ordered to enact in the name of the throne? Here lies the paradox. Their armour is painted the colour of faith, their symbol branded with the seal of the Inquisition, their lips forever singing praises to the Emperor as God. Yet their silence drips with blood, and their service may have marked them as participants in deeds that no loyal son of the Imperium would willingly claim. This is the crimson stain of secrecy. It cannot be proven. It cannot be erased. It simply endures, carried by those who vanish when their work is done. When one gazes across the tapestry of the Adeptus Astartes, a striking divergence emerges. Most chapters, even those of unshakable loyalty, regard the Emperor not as a god, but as the pinnacle of humanity's potential, the gene-sire whose will and science raised them above mortal men. Their worship is ritual, their devotion martial. Yet the Red Hunters are different. They kneel, they pray, they call him God Emperor, and they do so with fervour as deep as any Ministorum cleric. This faith is not an affectation. It saturates their liturgies, their war hymns, their very culture. Where ultramarines debate the Codex, where space wolves celebrate saga and deed, where imperial fists fortify their pride in stone and flesh, the Red Hunters chant the litanies of the Ecclesiarchy with a zeal that burns across their gene seed. Their chaplains are not mere wardens of doctrine. They are priests, their voices echoing sermons fit for cathedrals, and their warriors respond as a congregation. It is as though their martial bond with the Inquisition was never enough. They also chose to anchor themselves in the Emperor's divinity, binding together secrecy and faith into a creed both alien and absolute. This devotion shapes their character. When they are summoned to fight, they do not march with the pride of a chapter claiming glory. They march as penitents, as zealots, as hunters bearing the flame of righteous annihilation. Every demon slain, every heretic purged, every Xeno silenced is a sacrifice they lay before the Emperor's throne. In this, they find solace for the memory scouring that strips their identity. For even if a brother forgets his past, he remembers his God. Faith endures when memory does not. It is tempting to see this as a contradiction. Warriors who are both instruments of the Inquisition and worshippers of the Emperor. But for the Red Hunters, it is not contradiction, but completion. The Inquisition provides their orders, their purpose, their targets. Faith provides the fire that makes their obedience not hollow, but holy. They are blades sharpened in silence, yes, but each thrust of the blade is delivered with prayer upon the lips. And what does this mean for the Imperium? It means that in the hidden wars waged beyond mortal sight, faith itself is carried by crimson warriors into the darkest pits of heresy. Where secrecy might corrupt lesser men, their devotion steadies them. Where endless obedience might hollow others, their creed fills them. They may be shadows, but their shadows burn with faith. Yet faith can cut as deeply as silence. What horrors have they justified in their conviction that every act serves the Emperor's will? What secrets have they buried not only with obedience, but with zeal? This is the paradox of the Red Hunters. A chapter both holy and hidden, loyal and unknowable, crimson with both piety and blood. They vanish from record as soon as they appear. Their names are erased even as they are spoken. But their faith lingers. It lingers in the silence after their wars. It lingers in the secrecy of the Inquisition's archives. And it lingers in the unspoken truth that somewhere in the void, crimson ships still prowl, watchful, waiting, ready to hunt again. They are the Emperor's crimson watchdogs. They are his hunters in red. Their faith endures, their silence endures. And in the shadows of the Imperium, they wait.